Welcome back, everybody. This is Barry and Eric again from Moss Pond Gun, and we've got another firearms fact video for you today. Today's firearms fact is really going to be more of a opinion-based deal. We're going to give you the rundown of our top 10, who we think is the top 10 gun designers of all time, and why we think they're the top 10 gun designers. We found a few lists on the internet, and I think we found that we have pretty much an overwhelming response in terms of what the internet thinks are the top best. We're going to go down a quick spill of the internet's top choices and then our list, and we're going to move on with that.
We looked up the top 10 gun designers of all history on the internet, and this is what the internet showed. John Moses Browning, Samuel Colt, Benjamin Tyler Henry, Christian Sharps. Now he's important because he designed a rifle that put the Indians under. The Buffalo rifle is one that really starved the Indians out. John Thompson, Sir Hiram Maxim, Paul and Wilhelm Mauser. Their bolt action has been copied more than anybody in the world. David Marshall Williams. Now we talked about this, Eric and I. He did not invent the carbine, he invented the short tappet system, and Winchester bought that from him and then put it in the carbine. But he's on this list. John Garand, Dr. Richard Gatling. These are the 10 internet choices from top to bottom. Okay, this is our list. Now I know this is going to cause a lot of controversy, and we want your feedback on it. We've got Ronnie Barrett down here at number 10. Now nobody would really think about Ronnie Barrett that way, but Ronnie Barrett is a true American. He built his gun. His gun is being used all over the world right now to defend America, and this man is a 100% patriot. Ronnie Barrett will speak up for this country. He doesn't care. He's like Ted Nugent. He don't give a damn.
He also refuses to do business with any government that basically disallows their citizens to have the same guns as them. They won't sell M82s to the government of California.
Right.
And also, Mr. Barrett and his son are both on the cutting edge of development of new small arms that are going to defend our country in wars to come, fights to come. You know, to me, the Barretts, you know, Mr. Barrett, his daughter, his son, all the Barrett family, to me, they just really embody what it means to be American.
He is. He's an outspoken American. He's 100% patriot.
Right, and there's a lot of gun designers over history that should probably be on this list, but I really feel like Ronnie Barrett deserved a higher place than Eugene Stoner.
He definitely belongs there.
Definitely needs to be in the top 10.
All right, we go up to number 9 is William B. Ruger. Now, William B. Ruger designed a lot of guns. He simplified them. His semi-automatic pistol that came out in 1947, I believe, it put Colt Woodsman out of business. It put the high standard automatics out of business. And his gun today, I don't care what kind of 22 bullets you feed in it, it will eat it up. William B. Ruger was a brilliant gun designer.
He was a brilliant man. He actually found a way to take one of the older Savage 99s and turn into a semi-automatic. So he definitely had the juices of creativity flowing for that.
He took a lever action and turned it into a semi-automatic.
Right. Okay. Now the only, I will share one qualm about Bill Ruger that I'm not a big fan of, and of course he did garner and issue and basically support several anti-gun policies involving the 10-round magazine capacity. That's where all this 10-round mag bullcrap got started, was with Bill Ruger. Unfortunately, that's a stain on his character, in my opinion. But other than that, he was a brilliant man, and I have nothing but respect for him.
He was a genius when it came to guns. Dr. Richard Gatling, this was a major improvement. This is what started it all right here. And then, of course, you got Horace Smith and Daniel Wesson. Smith & Wesson was formed in 1852.
Oh, yeah.
You've got Benjamin Tyler Henry. The Henry changed the face of everything. In the Civil War, the Union was issued Henrys, a 16-shot gun that didn't have much power, but by God, he'd put a hole in him.
They called it the Yankee rifle that you could load on Sunday and shoot all week.
Shoot all week long.
And I tell you, the Henry really did change what we basically viewed on small arms at the time. I mean, back then, of course, they made great advancements with the advent of the mini-ball and rifling, and everything like that increased the average rifleman's potential to reach out to longer ranges more accurately. But at its heart, most of the guns back then were still front stuffers, single shots. So at the time, I'm sure the Henry was a very extreme measure, and soldiers that probably faced it on the battlefield for the first time I'm sure they definitely wanted to run pretty quick.
They sure did.
That's right.
But this changed the level of warfare altogether. This is firepower.
That's right.
You got Hiram Maxim, creator of the first machine gun. Hiram Maxim, this man is very important. This list, it shocks me that the internet did not have Mikhail Kalashnikov, the man who made the most prolific assault rifle in the history of the world. They don't even know how many Kalashnikovs have been made. They think 70 to 100 million of these rifles have been made.
They're everywhere, and Kalashnikov was a tank commander during World War II. He, fought in that war, and he was very, much into the cause. He was wounded, and during his time back in the rear and healing up, he basically developed his first drawings for the Kalashnikov while injured in the hospital.
That's correct.
And then over time, he was basically transferred to that position full time to develop the Kalashnikov. Of course, we know it today to be the most prolific and noticeable rifle in the world. The Kalashnikov is actually featured on several nations' flags even.
Yes.
Because that rifle is so synonymous with their revolutions and with their freedom that they felt it important enough to put on their flag. And that's a pretty big deal. When a gun gets put on a flag, that's no joke.
Yeah.
So, the Kalashnikov, to some people they consider it infamous. To some people it's a grantor of freedom and revolution. But no matter where in the world you see a Kalashnikov, you better believe that, they're everywhere. They're going to work no matter what.
Right.
You can throw them in the dirt, in the sand, in the mud, in the grime. You can neglect them. You can not clean them. But the gun will always function. You can train the average person on how to use it in no time.
No time at all.
You can have someone an expert on a Kalashnikov in 10 minutes. With 10 minutes of training and a little bit of range time, you got a rifleman. You give him his mags and his rifle, you send him into the jungle, and it's done. And he's ready. So that's why it's remained so prolific over the years, is because just it's simple refusal to stop running. They work and, they're just great guns.
What's more amazing about this man, he's still alive. And he was
yeah.
interviewed like 3 years ago, and he was asked, don't you feel guilty that your rifle has killed more people than any gun in the world? He said, no. When he designed this rifle, the AK-47, he said that gun was to defend my country. He is a patriot in his own right.
That's right.
In Russia. He designed that gun to protect Russia.
And I know that, I've been shot at with that rifle, but I have no disdain for Mr. Kalashnikov at all. I understand that why he built the gun, and I know that his intentions were honorable. And also, Kalashnikov has been known for saying on record that, I would have much loved to be famous for designing a tool a farmer could use.
Like a lawnmower.
Like a lawnmower, but I just so happened to design a weapon.
Right.
So I respect him greatly for that statement.
This gun changed the world.
That's right, it did.
John Garand is our third choice. Now, John Garand worked on the M1 rifle for 17 years. He made a career out of this gun right here.
That's right.
And when he's a Canadian, and when he sold the rights to Springfield for $5,000, this man died a pauper in Canada. That's something a lot of people don't know. This man died poor. And he created a rifle that won World War II.
That's right. George Patton deemed it to be the greatest battle implement ever devised.
Ever devised.
And in a time frame when you had advanced weaponry like tanks, you had battleships, you had howitzers, and you had all these artillery cannons and all these advanced machine guns, for a general to say, hey, this is the greatest battle implement ever devised, to me, that's a pretty tall statement. For a general to say that, and when a general thinks in terms of logistics, not in terms of what the individual on the ground is doing most of the time. So a general with his mind, in all of these logistics, to say that about an infantryman's gun, that is saying a hell of a lot.
But the M1 Garand, you have to understand, was used again. Everybody else had bolt actions. The M1 Garand 8-shot, in-block clip, a man that knows how to use an M1 can keep the air full of lead.
That's right, and very accurate
Full of lead, and it's very accurate too. Eric has done some videos with his, and you can tell that.
Yeah.
Now, Paul and Wilhelm Mauser, they created probably the most copied bolt action in the history of the world. Every bolt action made today has some of this influence in it.
That's right.
Every one.
Whether it's a Winchester Model 70, a Ruger, M77, Model 700, any bolt action rifle that is made today has some elements of the original Mauser pattern rifle. It's a rifle that really changed history. You know, once the French developed smokeless powder and they worked with the 8mm Lebel, you know, it set the world afire with that new smokeless cartridge. And the Mauser brothers were paramount in making a rifle that would fire a smokeless cartridge that was the best battle rifle that the world had ever seen. They're tough, they're rugged, they're accurate. You just really cannot go wrong with the Mauser. And for you guys that are collectors like myself, there's a ton of Mauser variants all over the world that you can collect and buy. They made them in several different calibers, several different countries, and it's one of the most copied and noticeable bolt action or any small arm in the world. Anybody that doesn't know nothing about rifles, if they see a Mauser, even if they don't know what it's called, they know that shape, they know the sound of it, they know the way it works. It's just a jackhammer of a rifle. You know, a well-trained rifleman with a Mauser was a deadly man.
Except for the sights on it, our 03 Springfield is almost an exact copy of a 98 Mauser. Almost an exact copy. It's got control feed, extractor, the same kind of safety, everything. Now, the last man on the list, which is really number one, John Moses Browning, holder of 128 patents. This man's guns are barking all over the world right now. He designed the 50 caliber Modus in 1921. And that gun is still considered one of the best heavy machine guns ever made.
Now, I'll tell you what, you know, when it comes to John Moses Browning, I've got a ton of respect for Browning. The first 22 I ever shot when I was a child, model 62 Galler gun, John Browning patent.
Right.
First handgun I ever fired, 1911, John Browning patent. The first shot I ever fired in anger at another human being was with a Modus, John Browning patent.
John Browning.
You know, John Browning to me is more than a gun designer. He's a model American. The man worked until the day he died, literally. He passed away in his son's workshop. That's how hard of a worker he was. And to me, you know, I think that anybody that studies architecture or engineering or designing, if you haven't studied John Browning, you haven't learned anything. To me, you know, John Browning embodies what it means to be American.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was a model American. And a lot of people don't know this. John also came from a long line of gunsmiths. His grandfather was a gunsmith. His dad was a gunsmith. You can even still find older Damascus twist steel shotguns that were made by his grandfather.
Right.
And they're still out there.
Right. But the difference in John Browning and Ronnie Barrett had a lot of information to draw on. This man pulled his designs out of the blue sky.
That's right. One of the interesting things about John Browning was that when the soldiers were out on the trials fields shooting rifles, shooting 03s, whatnot, everybody else was looking at the targets and how accurately that the rifles fired. John Browning was the type that would look down in the grass and see that grass waving and figure out, how can I use that?
How can I harness that power to make
right.
this gun work? And that's where the recoil system came from.
Yeah, he really was a genius.
The Browning A5 is an amazing shotgun, and he said a drop of genius and a barrel of sweat brought forth this miracle. And the Browning A5 at that time was a miracle. In fact, today you can look at one and see how it functions, and you cannot appreciate enough how much this man put into that gun.
That's right.
These other people, they had other people's designs to build upon. Ronnie Barrett used a lot of designs that were already there, but Ronnie Barrett created the Barrett 50 caliber, and this man, he's on here because he's a patriot.
That's right. And we have a lot of respect for him.
This is a true
Now,
American.
one thing about Hiram Maxim that people tend to forget also is that Hiram Maxim created the Maxim machine gun out there too. He didn't have a whole lot to go on.
Right.
But one interesting thing is that Hiram Maxim was trying to market a mousetrap. He was trying to become rich from a mousetrap. And he went over to Europe trying to sell this mousetrap, and he was basically told, if you can find a way for these Europeans to slaughter each other more efficiently, you'll be a millionaire. And that's what Hiram Maxim did.
Exactly.
Hiram Maxim was a capitalist. He wanted to make money. He wanted to make his way in the world. I believe in later interviews with Maxim and accounts that I've read about Maxim, he does regret creating the Maxim machine gun because it did cause so much death and bloodshed. But so goes it.
But there again, a gun is only as good or bad as the man using it.
That's correct.
You have to take into account how many lives this may have saved. See, so Hiram Maxim is a landmark gun designer.
Yeah.
All these fellows here, but Ronnie Barrett's included because he's a patriot.
That's
And
right.
he's an all-American man.
That's right. We hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I know it's been a little bit long, but we have been discussing firearms fact subjects, and we figured this would be a nice one to share.
And I know this is gonna cause a lot of controversy, and we appreciate it, and we'd love to hear your list, but this is the internet list. There were names on there that we would not have even considered. These are the ones that we feel made the best contribution to the gun industry, these people right here.
That's right.
And that's Barry and Eric signing off again, and we'll see you next Monday for another Gun Facts.
You got it.